Welcome to Champion Minded, the podcast for those who aim for excellence, not only in the sports arena, but in life. My name is Allistair, author, speaker, mindset and performance coach, and my goal is to help you unleash your unlimited potential and provide you with the tools to achieve greatness. Are you ready to become champion minded? Then let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast, or welcome back to the podcast. I'm Allistair McCaw. In this week's episode, we have a special guest. Her name is Michelle Wilson. She's from Tennessee. And I actually met Michelle over the weekend in Orlando at the USTA wheelchair camp that we were having there under Jason Harnett. But just meeting Michelle and listening to her story, I thought it would be great to get her on the podcast. As we know, Champion Minded is all about people that have overcome adversity, people that are achieving excellence in sports and in life. And I just thought it would be great to get Michelle on the podcast. You'll hear that she's driven, she's focused, she describes herself as stubborn, but she is an amputee. And she's 18, and she just has an incredible story. And it's something that can really make us even feel more grateful and more appreciative. She's someone that lives every day to the full. And I just know you guys are going to enjoy this one. So here's Michelle Wilson. Hey, Michelle, welcome to the Champion Minded podcast.
Thank you.
So cool that you could make it. Obviously, we're here at the USTA in Orlando, and I just got to meet you last night at dinner with the group, and obviously we had an awesome session this morning with Jason Harnett and the USTA wheelchair. But I'm just fascinated after listening to a little bit of your story today, and I just thought it would be awesome to get you on the podcast because I really think you have a great story to share. So let's kick it off. Your story. Where are you from? And tell us a little bit about your background.
Alrighty. I'm Michelle Wilson. I'm from Tennessee, born and raised. At age 14, I started feeling pain in my right knee. And it was 8 months of physical therapy, seeing numerous amounts of doctors trying to figure out what was wrong. Some said that I was faking it, like I was a child who was wanting attention. Or some said that I was just small and weak because I played basketball and I got knocked down a lot. So after 8 months of that, they finally found in an MRI that I had a softball-sized tumor in my right hip. Learning that it was cancerous, I had to go through a whole entire year of chemo, shots, medicine, and fast forwarding, none of it was working. The tumor was still there, I was still feeling pain, and I was going through chemo with no results.
Okay, so if I can just come in there, up until the age of 14, you were able-bodied, you were a regular kid, playing basketball.
I played 5 sports.
Mm-hmm. So super healthy, super fit.
Yep.
I mean, you're still in great shape, so obviously you work hard. But started with like knee pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so they found a tumor on the hip.
Yes.
So how did you take that news, first of all?
I still remember the day that they told me. I went out to go get x-ray while the doctor talked to my parents, and I came back. And he sat down, I was on the bed, and he said that you have a tumor and it is cancerous. And I remember everything just froze and went blank for me. He went through everything that's going to happen. He asked if I had any questions. I just shook my head, and I didn't say anything until...
Just like speechless, type of stunned type of feeling?
In a picture, I saw everything crash down because I had dreams of going to college and playing tennis. I had pretty much my life already planned out, and I just saw someone dropping glass and it just shattered all over the floor. And I didn't react until I finally got outside at the hospital, and I dropped to the floor in the parking lot, just started crying. I could not stop.
And you're with your mom or your dad at that
My
stage?
parents.
Your parents, yeah. So you played at 5 sports. Was tennis your main one, your favorite one? Because you said you played basketball as well.
It was my love. Tennis was the one that I wanted to go to college for. Tennis was the one that's going to take me all the way.
And you were playing competitions up until then? You were playing tournaments and regular...
I played tournaments. I was on a middle school team, already being scouted out by my high school coach.
Oh, there you go, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so continue with regards. So you got the news about the tumor in the hip. Then what happened from there?
It just went on into chemo and just the worst year of my life, honestly. I don't remember any of it. It's just a full blank to me, but I'm pretty sure it was so traumatic to me that I just forgot and I just blanked out of my mind. Like, I can't think of it. I know a few times, but I just can't think of the whole entire year.
How old are you now?
I'm 18.
So it was only 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you can't even remember that year, so that's obviously how dramatic and how impactful it was. Did you have to stop playing sports? Did you have to stop what you were doing on a regular basis?
My week consisted of being in a hospital for 5 days, then I would come home for 2 days, and I would be too weak, or my immune system wouldn't allow me to go outside, so I stopped tennis for a year, and sports in general. It was just hospital and home.
So 5 days a week in the hospital and 2 days at home and on chemo treatment the whole time. Yep. So obviously earlier we spoke about it with the group. Something dramatic happened at 15, right? What was that decision you made?
At 15, I was laying in my bed, just getting through another round of chemo, and I look over to my mom, and I said, "Cut it off. I'm done. I'm done feeling sick."
Wait. Cut off your leg?
Cut off my leg.
That's a decision that you made?
Mm-hmm. At 15. And I remember my mom looking towards me, and she started crying because, not to my knowledge, the doctors had told her 2 weeks ahead that chemo wasn't working and I had to lose a leg. And she told me that she was praying for a way to tell her daughter that she will have to lose her leg, that she cannot play sports anymore. And she just started bawling and said, "God gave you the answer, and He told you that this is what has to happen, because I couldn't bear to."
So you took that decision on yourself. I mean, that's pretty brave at 15 because you'd be fighting it the whole time. So I've just known you for basically a day, and I already could see just amazing strength in you and to take on that decision at that age. So the operation happened. Take me from there.
After getting my surgery, I woke up from the anesthesia, and I looked at my mom. I did it. I beat cancer. I deserve the biggest trophy in the world.
Those were your first words after? Oh, wow.
So every one of my coaches I've ever had got together and got me that trophy. It doesn't even fit in my room.
Well, I mean, this is what Champion Minded is all about. It's about a big, huge trophy in front of the book. So it's just like fascinating. Those are the first few things you said. So, so take us from there. I mean, the recovery process and was your decision to still carry on playing sports? Or did you have a lot of time to think about that before you took that decision?
Well, I didn't know that there was wheelchair sports. It wasn't until my dad, being stubborn too, did a whole bunch of research and found wheelchair tennis. And he introduced me. He called me into the office one day, and I just rolled in on my hospital wheelchair, and I saw, and I couldn't believe my eyes that there was out of the blue way that I could still play the sport that I love, that I planned my future with.
Wow. Okay. So, decided to play wheelchair tennis. what was the process in that? How did you get started? Was there a local club? Was there a coach you contacted? How did that process happen?
Well, I went to my first camp hosted by Paul Walker in
Legendary
Lakeshore.
Paul Walker.
In Lakeshore, Florida.
Okay.
And I didn't even have a tennis wheelchair by then.
Had you been practicing? Had you been...
I was practicing in a hospital wheelchair that you could not move from close to the net in the volley position with my coach. He would just hit me the balls, and I would sit there and just hit it back.
Okay, so explain for the listeners out there the difference between a regular wheelchair and a tennis wheelchair or a sports wheelchair.
Basically, a regular wheelchair is pretty slow. It takes a lot to push, but a tennis wheelchair is pretty much like a Ferrari. It takes a little push to take you really far.
It's a lot lighter, a little bit more slipstream, and so on. So cool stuff. So I mean, you're 18 now. This happened when you were 15. You're already on the United States tennis program. Obviously, at this amazing weekend we're having here in Orlando. Give us some advice out there for maybe others that are experiencing or going through what you're going through, because we spoke about your purpose earlier on. Now you're actually let's go into that. What drives you at the moment? What is your main purpose in life?
Well, after getting my amputation, I'm very stubborn, and I think I can do pretty much everything on my own with no help. But after getting my amputation, I was faced with people staring, people pointing, people saying, "Look, she has one leg." It's just the normal.
And that would be in like public places, like supermarkets and so on. You really felt that?
It was on a daily. But so thinking I could face that by myself was, I admit, foolish of me. So I had this therapist who kept visiting me throughout chemo and wanting me to talk to her, and I always denied. But
denied what exactly?
Denied talking to her because I thought I could handle it on my own.
Opening up.
So finally, one day, I just told my mom to call her because I needed help. I couldn't do it by myself. It was tearing me apart to the point of panic attacks, just breaking down after someone says something or points, or just getting angry with the world, which I did not like because I was not that before. So I called her to help, and she did, and it still gets me down sometimes on my low moments, but usually I'm okay. I brush it off, I make fun of it, I make one-leg jokes all the time to lighten the mood of new people so they don't feel like I'm a broken little bird with one wing. Wow. Metaphorically, one leg now.
By the way, you're awesome. I mean...
But because of that, I aspire to be a pediatric clinical psychologist for 10 years in school.
Oh, so that was one of your ambitions before this happened?
No, this was because it happened.
Of it?
Mm-hmm. Because I had cancer, because I lost a leg, I found the career that I wanted to pursue with all my passion.
Wow.
I want to help kids before and after cancer, or amputees, to learn how to deal with what's going to happen or what is happening, because it is a lot, and people don't ask for help, especially children, because we are stubborn, but we do need help in processing this, because it didn't hit me until after everything happened. It didn't, like, the emotions just hit me like a bus after losing my leg, having cancer. I needed help, and I want to do that for other people.
I mean, that's pretty awesome, because obviously the question we had in the session earlier was like, best advice you ever received, and you said those powerful words is, I need help. And I mean, it just doesn't apply to what's happened to you, but there's lots of people out there that are afraid to say those words or afraid to admit a weakness. And I've experienced those things in my life as well, where I was that person as well, where I'm stubborn, I can do it my own, I can fight my own battles, I don't need anybody else to help me with it. I was that person as well because I was very self-driven, but in life you get to a point, and you came to that point way earlier than I did, of saying I need help. I can't do this on my own, and still to this day I have those struggles as well, where it's hard to ask for help. But I mean, that's powerful advice, because everybody's going through something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it's not as much as you have up until your very, very young age, and you've got an amazing life ahead of you, and it looks like you found your purpose, you found your passion. Things happen to you for a reason, and I know that can sound, not trying to make you feel comfortable or anything, but I mean, like you said, you accept it, you move on with it.
I recently wrote an essay for a college application. It said, what was the hardest time of your life? And I wrote, having cancer and losing my leg. But at the end, I also wrote, I will always appreciate that time in my life too. Because it made me more humble. It made me prouder of who I am.
And you are. I mean, I must admit, you're a beautiful young lady. So, I mean, the future looks bright by the looks of it, for sure. But yeah, I mean, things happen for a reason. So, I want to ask you a question. What does being champion-minded mean to you?
It means being stronger than what people assume you are. Because everyone, especially being in a chair and having one leg, people will assume that you are weak, that you can't do anything for yourself, that you will always need help and someone to hold your hand. But being a champion-minded is knowing that past all that, you are strong on the inside and that you can do things.
That's awesome. Last bit, Michelle. I mean, this has been awesome, and like I said, listening to your story this morning, I wanted you to get on here because so many people need to hear this, and I'm sure a lot of them are going to appreciate this. But what advice can you give others that are going through struggle, difficulty, whatever area that might be in? Like we spoke about earlier, it doesn't necessarily have to be a disability, but especially teenagers, young people that are going through challenges in life. What bit of advice could you give to them?
I learned that asking for help did not make me weaker. It made me so much stronger than what I could ever imagine it. So if you do need help, go get it. You don't have to tell everyone. Just go on your own. Get someone to give you advice, and you will be so much better from it.
Awesome stuff. Goals, ambitions for 2019, because we're almost going into 2019. Have you thought about that? Because I can see you're a very goal-driven person. So,
well, I'm a senior this year, so hopefully I could get a scholarship, go to a college, and start the 10-year process of getting my degree, because it's a lot, but it's something that I want, and I'm going to get it.
Awesome stuff. I mean, that's just determination right there. You just spoke about earlier about being stubborn. I mean, I can see you're absolutely driven. You're someone that's probably motivated by someone saying, you can't do this, right?
Always.
There you go. Awesome stuff. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Allistair.
And like anybody else that comes onto the show, I want to present you with the Champion Minded book, because you are 100% champion-minded. There's that golden trophy that you spoke about.
Another trophy on the list.
Another trophy on the list. But thanks so much for taking the time to come on and sharing your story, because it's very, very powerful. I hope you realize that.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this.
And best of luck for 2019 and the future. I'm definitely going to be following you. So, all right. One last bit just before I leave. Is there anywhere, if anybody wants to reach out to you, any social media that you're on, Twitter, Instagram, anything?
I am on Instagram, Itchell22, ITCHELLE 22. If anyone wants to follow me, see my journey, or reach out to me, I'm willing to talk to anyone.
Awesome stuff. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
So there you have it, guys. Another episode in the bag. Thanks so much for listening in. Remember that this podcast is available on iTunes and on YouTube, the Champion Minded podcast. Join me on social media. I'm on Twitter at Allistair McCaw, on Facebook, Allistair McCaw page, and on Instagram, Be Champion Minded. So remember, you were made for greatness. Now go do the work. Until next time, stay champion minded, my friends.